Good afternoon, investors and corporates. Welcome to Set Digital Roadshow Year-End 2022 Performance Review. The session will run about 45 minutes. The company will start the session with a 30-minute presentation followed by a 15-minute Q&A session. During Q&A session, investor may leave your questions in the meeting room chat box or use raise your hand function. We will open your microphone so you can ask the question directly. May I now invite THORESEN Thai Agencies Public Company Limited to start the presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today we are joined by the management, including Mr. Katharat Sukhsawan, our Group CFO, คุณอัจฉริยา อังสุธรรม Director of Treasury and Investor Relations, คุณเพ็ญทิวาวงศ์โสภาส Associate Director of Corporate Account and Business Performance Analysis. And you are here with me, Vipada Chayapon, Manager of Investor Relations. Let me start with the presentation. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. So let me show you the agenda today that we'll be presenting. Today, the agenda, we cover company overview. Next page, please. Okay, it will cover company overview, financial performance, which will cover by myself. And for market outlook, our IR manager, Kun Vipada, will cover this part, and Q&A will be answered by our CFO, Kun Katharat. So let me start with the first session in company overview. For the new investor here, the corporate, I like to go overview on the history of the company a little bit. So TTA is established in 1904, is over 100 years now. Now the company is listed in SET, in MSCI and THSI. For the shareholding structure as of 31st January 2023, 50.7% is owned by local investor, while 32.7% was owned by Mahakisili family. For the next slide, we'll explain strategic business portfolio of the company. So right now, the company invests mainly in 5 business. First is shipping. We operate in dry bulk shipping, and this is our major business segment right now. The next one is offshore service, covering the 3 business segment, starting from subsea service, cable laying, and decommissioning and T&I. And the next business is agrochemical. We have the product covering fertilizer, pesticides, factory area management services. And I think the business mainly is operate in Vietnam. For the next business is food and beverage. I think the brand, probably you all are very familiar. The brand covers Pizza Hut and Taco Bell. And the last is the other business, which include the water management, logistics, and others. Let me show you the revenue structure of the year 2022. As you can see in the graph here, that 48% come from shipping or dry bulk shipping services. So this is our major business section right now. And for 27% of the revenue comes from offshore services. For the agrochemical, contribute 14% of the total revenue, while food and beverage contribute around 7%, and the last investment contribute around 4%. For EBITDA structure of the year 2022, 88% come from shipping business segment, while 12% come from offshore services. And the EBITDA total that we reported last year contributes around 6.6 billion baht. Let me move to the financial performance. Starting from significant events in last year, for the award and recognitions, the shipping segment was awarded the third rank in the global list dry bulk company performance survey in 2021 by Liengard and Roadshow. And we are the only top 5 company starting from year 2018 to 2021 that we perform in the top 5 consecutively. For the THORESEN rating, we have an upgrade on the credit rating from BBB to BBB plus with the stable outlook, which is good for our future fundraise with a bond. And in addition that I mentioned earlier that we are listed SET and MSCI, we also get listed last year in the Thailand Sustainability Investment or TSSI, which is in the service category. For the business expansion last year that we like to highlight are 2 investment. One, we already bought construction vessel with a value of $7 million US. This is for the purpose to expand the business of decommissioning business for the future. And the next that we invested is on acquisition of 10,000 square meter warehouse in Vietnam. The purpose is to do the warehouse services, packaging services, and logistics. For the venture that we have activity last year, we repaid 1.5 billion baht bond, and we already issued another one, 3.7 billion baht in early this year, January 2023. So I want to show you all on the consolidated performance of TTA. As you can see that the revenue rise consecutively, and last year is perhaps the highest in decade for us. The revenue reported at 20.9 billion or 33% on Y. Move to the gross profit at the same time as the revenue increase, it results in increasing gross profit as well. We reported gross profit at 8.7 billion with 25% Y. And EBITDA, we reported 6.6 billion baht at 22% increase Y. And as a result of increasing revenue, we have reported increasing normalized net profit of 4.5 billion baht. This is normalized net profit. But to show you, explain further in the graph, highlighting the net profit contributing from each business segment, as you can see that the shipping services contribute 5.2 billion baht. And the 4 business segment combining with the shipping, we have reported 3.3 billion baht. But if we exclude the one-time items, which account 1.19 billion baht, this is just happened one time. Even though this is a loss, mainly from impairment of investment and mark-to-market loss in digital asset, this is only one-time transaction. So exclude this one-time transaction, the normalized net profits is reported at 4.5 billion baht. Next, just to explain investor on a financial position. As you can see that the asset grows from 38 billion to 41.5 billion baht. And the major change I like to point out is on the other non-current asset, which is 8 billion compared to 4.7 billion from the previous year. You may wonder the change come from which segment. 3.3 billion change come from mainly from digital asset investment, about 1.5 billion. And the remaining is from long-term charter in vessel from the offshore services. But As you can see that the liability on the interest-bearing debt is decreasing to 9.6 billion. This is from the bond repayment, as I mentioned earlier. Overall, the key financial ratio has improved to 2022 because that our book value has increased from the net profit that we accumulated more, and the debt ratio has decreased to 0.35 for the IBD to equity. And for the IBD to EBITDA is around 13.46 times. Oh, sorry, to 1.53 times. For the cash flow that we shows here, we still have a very strong cash and a very high liquidity. As you can see that at the end of 31st December 2022, we report cash and cash equivalent at 8.4 billion. And in addition, if we have the short-term investment that we can translate into cash, another is 1.6 billion. So together, all in is like 10.06 billion together. So we still have a very strong cash position. So the next session, let me go through like analysis of each business segment, starting from our shipping business. For 2022 operating performance, to analyze actual performance for dry bulker per day performance, we actually use the TCE rate as an analysis, indicator. And as you can see in the first graph here, that the shipping segment TCE rate rose 2% Y-on-Y to US dollar 24,763 per day. This is a very high rate compared to the market rate, which is we use net Supramax market rate. The market rate is at US dollar $21,045. So the increase or the upper performance is around 80% compared to the normal market. We analyze our own fleet performance also, that the utilization rate is at 100%, which is a very good rate, and we are very happy with the utilization rate. The highest rate, TCA rate, that we are able to perform last year is the $49,972 per day, which is a very high rate from last year. Vessel operating expense or OPEX remain quite low at US dollar $4,000 per day, or about 14% lower than the industry OPEX. So overall, we outperform in terms of revenue, and we still maintain cost efficiency in terms of cost or OPEX. So at the year end, shipping segment owned 24 vessels, which come from 22 Supramax and 2 of Ultramax vessels. The average size is 55,900 deadweight tonnage, and with the average of around 14.7 years. Let's give you a snapshot of financial health of shipping segment. As you can see that in 2022 performance, the freight rate was reported at 14.0 billion baht, which increased 20% Y-on-Y due to the highest freight rate that I mentioned earlier. And another factor is that depreciation of Thai baht against the US dollar also helped the company to receive high revenue. The Supramax freight rate averaged at 22,152 per day, a little bit decreased from 17% compared to last year. Due to the high TCE rate and consistent low OPEX, the gross profit margin improved 14% Y-on-Y to baht 5.6 billion baht, with stable per day gross profit margin at 81%. There was net realized unrealized gain from change in fair value of derivative of baht 164 million. And consequently, from the higher gross profit, the shipping EBITDA increased 19% Y-on-Y to baht 5.9 billion baht. The shipping segment delivered a record high net profit to TTA in more than a decade, with a high of baht 5.2 billion baht, increasing 20% year on year in the year 2022. Move to offshore service segment. We have received a very high order book or the backlog as of the end of the year with a value of $321 million. So this is the highest so far that the company has operated. I would like to break down revenue for the investor that may be the newcomer here. The three segments that we already mentioned, I would like to maybe give you a detail a little bit. The subsea, we already shown you both the vessel and non-vessel revenue. While the other business segment come from cable laying and decommissioning and TNI. As you can see on the last year, 2022, total revenue contributes 7.9 billion compared to 3.6 billion. The growth is around 119% Y-on-Y, which is a very good turnaround. And you can see that the cable laying plus decommissioning and TNI, these two are the new business that the company just expanded to. Back to the 2020, you can see that the company have not realized the revenue yet. But starting from 2021, the revenue from these two new segments contribute around 27% in the year 2021. But to accomplish a more stable and more balanced type of revenue, and I think we want to rely less on the subsea services so we can expand more onto the new business. These two new business in the year 2022 contribute 49% in total, which I think is a very good strong sign for offshore services. Okay, and on the right hand side, it shows you the order book history. Like I said, the year 2022, we reported at the ending of backlog 321 million, still higher than last year, 2021, which the order book reported at 292 million US dollar. Again, I would like to emphasize the subsea IRM vessel working day and utilization rate, which show improvement in terms of like utilization rate. On 2022, it reports 79% utilization with a working day of 868. Right now, the offshore services have 5 operating vessels to perform, and we believe that this is a good turnaround for the business for last year and the upcoming year also. I would like to move to show key highlight performance in terms of financial for the offshore services. As you can see, the revenue grows 119% Y-on-Y as mentioned earlier. Gross profit also increased to 1.1 billion from 250. So a lot of increase this year. The change is 364%, which contribute to a higher EBITDA as well at 818 million baht or 39% Y-on-Y. The net profit contribute to TTA is reported at 9 million baht, but the offshore service NP itself is 34 million baht. On the next business is agrochemical segment. Total fertilizer last year, since the business mainly relies on Vietnam or domestic market, which account around 66% of total fertilizer. I have to say it's not maybe the good year for in terms of the volume, but we maintain a good net profit and a good gross profit because we be able to control the cost and able to control the gross profit, even though the volume may decline a bit. So the volume declined around decreased about 49% Y-on-Y due to the softened economy in Vietnam. And I think it's because the economy is not pick up yet, while the rising price of fertilizer may hurt the volume a little bit. As besides the fertilizer business, I'd like to point out factory area management service a little bit, because since acquisition of the new land and new factory, service income from factory management increased 25% Y-on-Y to about 75 million. So this is another good key performance of agrochemical segment. Let me point out the financial performance of agrochemical business segment. The revenue still maintain increasing trend. We reported the revenue at 4.2 billion baht, or 8% increase Y-on-Y. The gross profit is reported 583, or 19% Y-on-Y. The EBITDA we reported 213 million baht, or negative, or the reduced a little bit, like 6% compared to Y-on-Y. And the net profit is reported at 54 million baht, or 41% decrease Y-on-Y. So next business I'd like to point out is food and beverage and other investment segment. For food and beverage, that the Pizza Hut store now, we start investing in more stores, and the updated store at the end of the last year is 193 stores. While compared to Taco Bell, starting from 2020, 2022, the updated store number is 12 stores now. For AIM, maybe I would like to mention this a little bit. The TTA acquired AIM, or the company that manage water contractor services company and own concession to sell tap water in Luang Prabang or in Laos. This is a 100% owned subsidiary. As the end of the last year, the order book was around 414 million, including non-revenue water and water pipeline projects. Okay, so moving to the next section, Khun Vipada, our IR manager, will cover market outlook.
Okay, let's start with the outlook of the shipping. Okay. Lastly, you can see that the TCE rate is continue high from the year before in year 2021, but during last year, during the end of the fourth quarter, the rate has been dropping. But it normally the fourth quarter is the low season of this business, because there was long holiday in Europe because of the New Year celebration, and during the beginning of the year, which is the first quarter, also the low quarter of the shipping business because of the long holiday in China, which is main market of, it is one of the big market for shipping. So this decrease in TCE rate are contributed by the one is the low season. The second thing is the congestion. Last year there was congestion due to the COVID-19, but recently the congestion come back to normal. They are easing and back to normal. So the rate have been dropping, but overall the rates have been higher than the historical. And recently, as of today, the TCE rate is around 14. For Supermax is around 14 USD, 14,000 USD per day. So the rate has been improving. So if we have a look at the dry bulk demand, you can see that last year the dry bulk demand decreased 1.9% in ton mile from year 2021. This is because, as I mentioned, that one thing is the demand in the market has been weakened due to the economic condition. Another thing is the impact from the Ukraine that have been changed the route of the grain and coal because Ukraine, which is one of the biggest exporter of the grain, cannot export grain, so the importer had to import from other source. And right now, Ukraine has been signed with UN and Russia that they continue to export their grain. That's why in 2023, the analysts expect that the dry bulk demand will come back by 2% in ton-mile. Because of the one thing is grain, and China, they have been open the country after the zero COVID policy they has been released, so the demand will come back. That is the demand side. Let's move on to the supply side. For the supply side, you can see that last year the dry bulk fleet has been expanded by 2.8% from the total fleet of the year before. But however, the order book has been low, near 30-year low of only 7% of the total capacity, and the expansion in the 2023 will be only like 1.8%. So and another thing is that this year there is a new regulation of EEXI and CII, which is the control of the release of the carbon. So the fleet has had to slow down their maximum speed so that they meet the regulation. So this will absorb the supply in the market. That's why overall the demand and supply of the market will be positive to the dry bulk rate. So this year we expect to see the higher than average, like 10-year average of the TCE rate. As you can see that today, as of today, the rate had been improving to like 14,000 per day, that I mentioned earlier. Let's move on to the another good thing of our shipping is that our competitive advantage that we have like both owner and operator model, that we have our own fleet and we have charter in, which it add value to our fleet, and also manage risk during the because mainly charter in we do for the voyage charter, which is we do like a hedge of our own vessel. So this is our strong point. Another thing that we have is we have an in-house experience manpower that they have been with us since the beginning. Like they've been crew and become captain, and later they become like onshore back office workers. So they have been with us for like all of their life. So this is our strong point, and add up to the experience that we have been built the low cost culture to our like staff, our crew. So this is that why we have the OPEX cost lower than the market OPEX. That's why we have the better TCE compared to like our peer. That make us like top 5. Only the company that has been in top 5 for 4 consecutive years. Move on to another business of TTA is another main contribution for our revenue is offshore. For offshore, our main business rely on like oil because for example our IRM work is related to oil business and also decommissioning and G&I. So for oil price, the oil price has been go up in 2022 that the oil price is average at $99 per barrel in 2022, and the EIA expect that the oil price will continue high at $84 per barrel in 2023. That's driven by the increase in fuel oil consumption and the effect from Russian-Ukraine that the oil production in this region will fall. So that's why the price is expected to continue high in 2023 and 2024. So for the investment in this sector, it has been high because the oil price has been increased. So in Middle East, in other region, the budget for investment in this segment has been increased. Move on to our business. As you can see that our order book increased from last year of $292 million to $321 million, which is mainly our order book from subsea business that we expect that our subsea vessel will continue at high utilization rate to 2023 to 2025. We have been awarded in both Middle East that our main customer are in, and we are also awarded the project in Angola, which is in Africa, and we expect to have awarded from other project in this area. For cable laying, the total order book of this business are around 9% of total order book, and we expect our vessel will continue high utilization rate in this year, 2023. For the commissioning, we successfully started the business in last year, 2022, and we have been expand in this business, both Southeast Asia and Middle East, and we see the demand of this business in North Sea that they are trying to transit from fossil to renewable energy. So this is that all for outlook. And for apart from the financial, we also focus on the environment, social, and governance. This is our what we have been done in ESG, and this is our activity that we have done last year from environment project that shipping has to decrease the carbon emission. Our goal is about 2% per year to decrease the emission of carbon.
Okay, the sections have come to an end. So on behalf of the Stock Exchange of Thailand, I would like to thank you, investor and corporate, for joining the conference. We look forward to welcome you all again in the next quarter. Thank you very much and have a good day. ขอบคุณนะคะ
ครับขอบคุณ
ขอบ
มาก
คุณ
ครับ
ค่ะ